Hello, welcome to another live Paper Pioneer commentary. I'm John, this is my partner Jay, and we got two very interesting decks. Not technically in the meta, I would say. Would that be correct to say, Jay?
Well, I think you're pushing it by saying that. I would say one deck is completely off meta. You're never going to see anything like this anywhere near the meta. I don't think. It's an odd build by someone who he's just trying to have fun. It looks like a fun build, but definitely not optimized. I don't think. And what about the other deck?
Well, the other deck, well, imagine you had Rakdos mid-range. Very good deck, right?
Yeah.
Now let's splash a bit of white. Oh, okay, Mardu mid-range? No, it's Mardu Greasefang. I think this is kind of going into where Greasefang is starting to get up a bit in popularity, and people are now trying different variants. This is a Mardu variant of a Greasefang deck, which plays entirely like a Rakdos mid-range deck until you find Greasefang,
Yeah.
which is not a bad alternate win condition, really, when you think of it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I have heard quite a few people say that Mardu Greasefang is good, but it's like playing a worse version of Greasefang because the combo
Mm.
is less consistent. It's not as quick, and a worse version of Rakdos midrange because you aren't playing the full copies of Graveyard Trespasser, Bone Crusher Giant. The real Rakdos mid-range staples, you're playing like a weaker version. So I think maybe it's not the best. We're diving right into the game here. We have a Mana Confluence and a Thoughtseize.
Oh, that is 3 damage already. But if we look at the opponent's hand,
Yeah, so the opponent, I believe, is discarding a Druid class. The opponent is playing a 4-color but mainly Simic ramp list with
okay.
some elves, some other creatures, a lot of like Llanowar elves. You've got Druid of the Cowl, Naga, Vitalist, Marwyn the Nurturer. So a lot of cards that can make a lot of mana. And then they have some big payoffs at the end. So they've got 4 Planeswalkers and they've got Golter at the top.
Hey everyone, it's just a really good time now to say we are nearly at 100 subscribers and we'd really love to see you join us. It's totally free to subscribe, it helps the channel, lets us get boosted and gets more Paper Pioneer or even modern or even standard content out there for you. Let us know in the comments if you want to see any other formats or even any other card games, be them digital or even on paper. Just remember, any comments in the first 24 hours are eligible for our Arena Code giveaways. All that in mind then, I'm going to take you back to John and Jay, who will take you through this action with Mardu Greasefang versus Vamp and Roll.
We see a Rafine's informant from the Rakdos.
Oh, but can we point out the Mardu mid range player? Tapping Mana Confluence to the left, but tapping Inspiring Vantages to the right.
Oh my word.
Yeah. So
This game.
yeah. Turn 2 we saw Rafine's informant, which can be good for trying to get vehicles into the graveyard. Unfortunately, they didn't. And then turn 3 we see a completed Nahiri, and they're just going to discard and draw a card. Nahiri is pretty good because it can return Greasefang from the graveyard, or maybe a Rafine's informant if they want to, whilst also filtering through your deck.
But I can see she's kind of taking the place of what Liliana would be doing for this type of deck, right? Where the +1 would discard a card, which would then feed the graveyard if you have the vehicles in hand for the eventual Greasefang turn. But as it is, it's kind of playing out very mid-rangey. There isn't really much threats that the ramp player is sort of pushing onto the board.
Yeah, I think right now that it just looks like they're just trying to get some more creatures down, some more ramp. I'm not sure what artifact they just played. Oh, that was a Phyrexian Atlas, so it can add 1 mana of any color. So they're continuing on their ramp plan.
The thing is,
And here we see a Fable of the Mirror Breaker come down. What were you saying, John?
well, the thing is, right? This time that the Greasefang player is giving the ramp player is only really playing into the ramp player's hands, right? Like, you're by giving him a lot of time, he'll eventually get into those bigger payoffs. I don't know if Greasefang will be able to overcome that at that stage of the game.
Yeah, looking at the ramp player's hand, it looks like they have a Tainted Observer from Phyrexia All-B1, which I think is what they're going to be playing. So this is a 2/3 Toxic 1. When another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2 and proliferate. Oh, no, that's not that. This is a Weaver of Currents.
Oh my god.
So you can tap it to add 2 colorless to your mana pool. So again, continuing along the ramp game plan.
Oh, and a Thundering Rebuke. Oh my word! I just realized the graveyard placement as well, but never mind. So, so the Thundering Rebuke to deal with the...
Yeah, I believe the Thundering Rebuke was done during instant speed when it's a sorcery as well, but it's okay.
I mean, it was all during his turn, so...
That is true, that is true.
It was all during his turn. We can't say it was done during instant speed, necessarily.
Yeah. John, what do you think about that play on a previous video that kept casting See the Truth at instant speed when that's a sorcery?
Oh, I've had a word with him since, and according to him, he allegedly assumed that the card was instant speed the entire time because he thought it was just anticipate with upside. But there are definitely caveats when it comes to, reading your cards before you play them, right?
Yeah, is he legally blind?
Well, I don't think he's legally blind, but we could question his IQ.
Yeah, unless he is blind, it doesn't seem like a good enough excuse. And here we see another huge mid-range payoff. We see a Shieldred.
Yeah, and we do see the Greasefang in the bin. So yes, there is a Greasefang in the deck, but with no vehicles, the Shieldred is just strictly a better play, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it looks like they're giving up on their Greasefang plan
and just playing the mid-range plan.
If it works, it works.
But the mid-range plan, again, might be leading to this ramp player's sort of win conditions, right? Because it wants to go big. I mean, Shieldred is making every draw painful, but with very little pressure in the early game to start with, the ramp player has a lot of time to kind of get into his rhythm for his deck.
Yeah,
because those players are running out of cards very quickly.
Yeah, but the ramp player is now out of cards, so I'm not sure that they'll be able to find the payoffs in time. They do. It looks like they have enough lands and creatures on board to be able to play their payoffs. I think they probably have enough mana to pay for Nico Bolas, the Deceiver, their best payoff.
So remind everyone what Nico Bolas, the Deceiver, does.
Yeah, all right.
We're not singing the song here, Jay.
Sorry. I thought you were about to say. I didn't realize that was a cue for me. I apologize. Nico Bolas, the Deceiver. It's 8 mana. It's Grixis colors. 5 loyalty. Enters the battlefield. You can +3. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card. -3. Destroy target creature. Draw a card. And then -11. Nico Bolas deals 7 damage to each opponent, and you draw 7 cards.
And that would have been great if he top decked it there. Unfortunately, there is a live Kiki on the board. There is a legitimate target in Refrain's Informant.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to draw cards so much that he's just going to gain a lot of life. Because I don't think the player has any interaction.
Yeah, that is a good point. Rafine's Informant does draw you cards, which does gain you life with Shieldred, which is very good. Rafine's Informant is also very good to copy because it lets you filter through your deck. If you have Fable and Rafine's, it gives you an extra draw step each turn. It's like having that extra blood token, which is quite good. And then with Shieldred, that just translates to more life, which is pretty nuts.
And potentially more damage as well, swinging back. Which it looks like we are just on the mid-range plan now.
Yeah, we are. I think they've completely abandoned. They don't have any vehicles in the graveyard. I believe that the only vehicles that are in the deck are Parhelion and then Sky Sovereign. So there's no chariots to get. So I believe there's less
Okay.
vehicles in total than the Avzan or Esper
Mm.
lists.
In fact, he uses the "Can't Stay Away" on another Rafine's informant to draw more cards. So yeah, Greasefang is kind of just the alternate win condition that's not showing up. It doesn't need to show up for this game, but I would think wouldn't it be better to just get Greasefang anyway? Oh,
Yeah, they are. It looks like they are getting Greasefang back with Nahiri 0, which does
oh, I
bring
see.
back Parhelion, and then does allow the Greasefang player to, smack face with Parhelion and the two angels, and then they can discard Parhelion really easily with copies of Rafine's informant in the future,
Hmm.
and 2/4/4 flying vigilant angels are pretty aggressive. And yes, the Mardu
That should
Greasefang
be.
player tapped Parhelion. I know it
He's
goes
declared
back.
he's an attack step
I,
now.
I know it goes back to hand at the end of the turn, but Parhelion still has vigilance, so you do not need to tap it.
But that is a 13 damage swing. Personally, would have just swung with the board with the amount of damage he's about to deal here.
Yeah, and Shieldred would have just ended things on the draw step.
Yeah. Didn't have enough mana to copy anything, to be fair. But it's interesting play because if he needed a Rafine's informant, why didn't he just Kiki the Rafine on the board?
Yeah, I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure about spending 5 mana for Can't Stay Away. Maybe they were thinking of copying something with Reflection. I'm not too sure.
But they didn't have enough mana to do it. And ultimately, he had to Can't Stay Away Rafine, because I assume he had other plans to dig through the deck, to then use Nahiri to get back Greasefang. It's a very interesting line of play that ultimately would have done the same thing, but I think it would have been slightly more cost effective, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So here we
But
see the players going to sideboard. I think one of the cool things about this version of Greasefang is the sideboard really just allows the deck to go full on Rakdos midrange. Allows them to just completely sideboard out Greasefang and Parhelion if they are expecting a lot of graveyard removal.
yeah, it runs Ritual of Suit against more aggressive strategies, Rending Volleys for the white and blue strategies, Unlicensed Hearse for opposing graveyard strats, Dampening Spear for, I guess, Lotus Field, if that ever comes up, and a Containment Priest for the Coco decks.
Containment
I
Priest.
love Containment Priest.
Containment Priest also hits creativity, I believe.
Yes, because it'll be a creature entering that wasn't cast, or paid mana for, and Containment Priest trigger would resolve then as well. So Containment Priest, a one-of in the sideboard, but a very important one-of. It's in flash speed as well. So I don't think that would come down. Seeing what we've seen in the ramp deck, I'm not entirely sure what the Mardu Greasefang deck would bring in. Probably the two Duresses, maybe a Dampening Spear. But I don't know what we've seen yet from the ramp player to make to sort of change the sort of strategy of the Greasefang deck.
Yeah, I'm not too sure either. I think they might just keep that list because it seemed to work. Although they did, I would say Greasefang did get a little bit unlucky to not find Parhelion for so many turns of the game. And I think this is a big difference between, Mardu Greasefang and Abzan Greasefang, especially the Abzan Greasefang that runs Vessel of Narcolepsy and Traverse the Elven World, because that allows you to search very specifically for Parhelion or for Greasefang. So it allows you to be a lot more consistent than the Mardu Greasefang deck.
But this is obviously where the mid-range plan backup, right, becomes very good. Like, ultimately, it would have been quite possible for the Greasefang player to actually just win with the mid-range plan that he had on board.
Yeah, and I just think it goes to show how powerful Fable is, because Fable of the Mirror Breaker can just win you games by itself.
Oh, we see another turn one thought seize from the Greasefang player. What did he discard?
I am not 100% sure.
Very
Okay,
much playing.
It's a
for-
Vat of Rebirth from the most recent set.
All right. So it's a bit of recursion as well.
Yeah, a bit of recursion. I guess that's good in front of removal. Oh, and it looks like we have a 2/2 Wolf coming down courtesy of Ranger class.
Oh, I remember when Ranger class was just an absolute bane in the standard meta. You had to deal with the wolf, because now if he levels up Ranger class, and the wolf is just going to get bigger and bigger every turn he swings.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like Ranger class.
I don't know what. I don't believe he was able to. Oh, he was able to get the Parhelion in the bin.
Oh,
I
well,
believe.
so we might see a Greasefang turn 3 here. And I would just like to point out that their red deck box is infringing on the playmat. That is a huge pet peeve of mine.
There is no. It's not infringing anything.
It
It's not
is.
affecting the game.
It's over the edge of the playmat. If I was there playing, I would just very gently reach out and just move his deck box a little bit, so it's not
Oh, we
infringing
see
on
the
the
turn 3
playmat.
Greasefang.
Oh, turn 3 Greasefang. I mean, this is what the deck does. It's just so powerful.
When a combo goes off, it goes off, and I think that's why the deck box was so close to the player at the time. He knew that was going to come down. He just needed it to be a little closer so he could reach it. And with that is another 13 damage swing.
Oh, Tainted Observer is getting in the way, so it's only an 8 damage swing. But next
Massive,
turn,
though.
the Greasefang player has lethal on board. I think this just might be game, and this is no, reflection on the ramp player. I think any deck would lose against the Greasefang that gets Parhelion out on turn 3.
Yeah, and I think also a little bit of mana screw from the ramp player, ironically.
Yeah, maybe not enough lands in there, or maybe just unlucky. It's certainly a shame.
So there's two different sides of the story here. One deck going off, and another deck.
Oh, and they're able to use Scrapwork Mutt to get another Parhelion in the graveyard, and that is now 4 angels.
And what has he revealed here?
I believe this is like a special edition of Golter.
Oh, he's talking about how he wishes he can cast the Golter. Oh, so I imagine that's the victory for the Mardu Greasefang deck. Yep, they're just discussing now, having a nice chat, because, ultimately, we're here to just have a good time. This is a local F&M, down where most of us play, and yeah, even when we lose, yeah, let's just have a chat, Let's discuss things. Yeah, it was unlucky, but there's no reason to do that.
Speaking of chats, let's have a chat, John. What do you think about Mardu Greasefang versus other types of Greasefang?
So strictly speaking, it's like you said, there's a consistency issue, but because it's essentially also a mid-range deck and it can flex into the mid-range side, I think it's more consistent against a lot more of the playing field, possibly.
Yeah, you know what? I can see that, and I think really it just ends up being a meta call. Anyway, I think that's all we have time for today.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.